One of the things many people said to us is time is a great healer. I don't believe that. I believe what you do with that time will determine the level of healing.
If I'm honest, I didn't like the idea of my husband having to climb a mountain, and I heard that, you know, it's not... Things can happen, you know, people can die from climbing this mountain and stuff like that, and I wasn't too keen on it.
So what I did is I signed up, paid the deposit, and then did the research. And then doing the research, I realised it was a mountain, not a hill, and it would need preparation and training. I've got very, very little experience of climbing, ever. Throughout my life, I've not been one for walking or hiking or getting out in the open, really, so it was brand new to me.
And, you know, I got beside him and I thought, do you know what? If he's determined to do something, he will do it. So I stuck by him all the way.
We met 10 years ago in Weston-super-Mare when we was both broken individuals, months clean from years and years of drug addiction, and against all odds, against everything people said, you know, you will not last, you cannot stay together. We've managed to face adversity after adversity after adversity. It has made us stronger, and it has pulled us together more and more. Every challenge we faced, you know, Jacob was just, that was the pinnacle of everything.
Terry met his partner, Karen, and they got a beautiful daughter called Sophia. Well, they also had a son, Jacob, and unfortunately it didn't quite go to plan. When Jacob was being born, Karen breached, and obviously the cord obviously wrapped around Jacob's neck and starved him of oxygen. And you know, it was a very difficult time for Terry and Karen.
During the whole pregnancy, everything was good. All the scans we had were good. Every time we went to the hospital, the doctors, every checkup was good. Everything seemed good. Our other child, Sophia, she was born on the kitchen floor in our flat at the time. So we decided that our second child we'd have at home as well. We had myself, my wife and two midwives there, and I just remember catching the eye of the midwife while the birth was going on, and I could just see this like dread in her face, worry in her face, and she just turned around and shouted out, "Breach! We've got a breach!" And I just knew at that moment something weren't right.
I had Jacob. He was breached at birth and he starved off a load of oxygen for over 20 minutes.
When they finally got him out, they kept his heartbeat alive, and they rushed him to the neonatal intensive care unit, the NICU unit at St Michael's Hospital in Bristol. He was the most poorliest baby on the ward, we was told time and time again. So it really wasn't looking hopeful. And in that moment, as young parents, not knowing what's happening, hoping for a positive outcome, it's very frightening, you feel very powerless within the moment, unsure what to do, you know. They have all the answers, we're helpless. After 5 days, so on January the 18th, I had to hold my son Jacob in my arms whilst my wife clung on to me, and we sobbed and wept as he tried to take as he came off the machines and tried to breathe. I don't think he took a single breath, and he died then and there in my arms at 5 days old. So the moment Jacob died, myself and my wife, we was thrown into an extremely dark place. We was very troubled, we felt very isolated, very lonely. It was a very challenging time. There was no one around us immediately that could identify, help us, guide us in any way. And we got to the point of we thought, you know, what is the purpose of life? What's the meaning of all this? Why us? I personally believe it's only the grandparents that have any kind of semblance of idea of what you're going through. Not only have they just lost a grandchild, but they're also seeing their son or their daughter going through the worst pain they've ever been through in their life. So they're kind of getting that double blow of pain, you know. So they're probably the closest people that have a slight understanding of what's going on. Our families were absolutely fantastic. They supported us, they got around us, they gave up everything they was doing in their daily lives to come to Weston-super-Mare and to be by our sides and to make sure that, just to keep our sanity intact, just to keep us there, keep us in the present, let us know that, you know, life will go on. That moment, what we did is we went to a local support group in Bristol, which was a charity known as SANS, which is one of the charities that I'm raising money for in this endeavour. So they are a support group that help people that have lost children. So it's kind of like a support group setting. You turn up, you sit there, it's facilitated, people get a chance to speak or they can sit and listen, and it's the identification of other people that have been through a similar situation that kind of gives that therapeutic healing.
It's something they can go to basically grieve and celebrate their children's lives.
Cots for Tots was pivotal in the help Jacob received while he was staying in the NICU unit at St Michael's Hospital. So what they do is they provide housing for people whose child is in the NICU unit. So imagine just giving birth prematurely, your child is severely unwell, they're in the NICU unit and you live down in Devon, Cornwall or something like that. You may not have the finances to travel every day, you may not have the finances to stay in a hotel in Bristol for the week, etc. So they provide free accommodation, the families come up, they stay in this housing, and the NICU unit is literally across the road.
The reason why I hold this charity so close to my heart is because they gave us 5 days, 5 special days to spend with our child, to make some memories. We got Jacob baptised, people come up to visit him, and we got loads of photos where, you know, if Jacob was taken away from us straight away and wasn't put on these machines, we wouldn't have all the photos we have and all the memories that we have.
So Cots for Tots has been, like I said, it's been pivotal in the help we received right at the beginning. Amidst all the confusion and the heartbreak and the sorrow, you know, I just knew within myself that I could let this incident govern me for the rest of my life in a negative manner, or I could interject and turn it and create something positive from it that could be useful to help other people. Okay, so from that moment we would keep Jacob's name alive. Yeah, so he would have meaning and purpose on this planet, so his existence wouldn't have been futile or purposeless.
It also, on reflection, it taps into my journey in life as well. Having had a daughter called Layla once, you know, back in the early 80s, and she only lived till she was 2. She was born with Down syndrome and mentally handicapped, and she had to have numerous operations to help her with her breathing, but was also susceptible to pneumonia. And unfortunately, she wasn't strong enough. But you know, so Terry then, with this goal and plan that he was going to honour Jacob, wanted to do some events. So would we like to do a fundraiser by maybe climbing Mount Kilimanjaro?
I would probably say, out of the 3 of us attempting this trek up Kilimanjaro, he's probably the fittest. A few years back I was doing another charity thing. We had to walk 100 kilometres in 30 hours, something like that. It was mad. From that point, Mark has been walking. He's like the Forrest Gump of the walking world. You know, he just walks everywhere. He's done miles and miles and miles.
I've been walking the last 2 years. I've been doing a lot of walking, trekking, climbing elevations, once or twice a week. I was doing a lot of running prior to that, doing 10Ks, half marathons, even doing the London Marathon.
Well, I think Mark will make it because Mark's quite fit. He does a lot of training. He plays football, and I think Mel will make it as well because obviously she's the same. They would always go out and walk.
He's out there, he's walking, he's running, and he's in his early 60s.
It's the age now. I have to start recognising that it's the age, but I still think it's achievable. And the biggest fear, as I say, is more to do with the altitude.
I'm a wussy when it comes to all that, especially when you have to sleep in tents and you have to sleep when it's cold. I can't stand the cold. You know, it's not my cup of tea. You know, I liked my fundraising events was doing bingo.
So we arrived in Tanzania on the 19th of September. The next day we were set to leave for the mountain. That was my birthday, and the plan was on summit night, which was 4 days after that, I would summit Mount Kilimanjaro, and I would scatter a small amount of my son's ashes on top of the mountain. Day one, we are here at Mashame camp. So this is 2,835 metres. So is where we're at. So I think we've done 11 kilometres today, and it took us about 5 hours. So not a bad day all in all.
Yeah, it's been interesting. And then suddenly when we arrived here in the camp, and suddenly it just reveals itself. You see Kilimanjaro, you just can't quite take it all in to perspective because it's still a cloud sat on top of it, and you're looking at all these mountains in front of you, thinking that must be the one, but it's not. It's hidden behind the cloud. It's very, very impressive. It's been a great day.
One of the hard things I find when I go abroad by myself, and especially this time on a mountain, no access to any internet, phone is of no use, is not having that contact with my wife and my daughter. I find that extremely difficult because it's just me with my feelings. I can't share them with my wife and my daughter like I always do. But one of the nice things that my wife did for me, she created a little book, and she's put a load of photos in there of us, my daughter, Jacob, family, memories, and she gave it to me just before I left. And I had that book tucked in my bag, so when I had my quiet moments, I'd just take it out, have a flick through the pages and connect with them through that. There's 3 different routes, ways to go up Kili. There's more than that, but at this camp, this is where 3 different routes meet. It's a large camp, everyone can come here. They prepare before they try and traverse the barranca wall, which is what you can see in front of you, which is literally a path outside of a mountain, which we've got to go up, and all the porters go up, so that should be interesting. Yeah, all the training that you can do in the UK can never fully prepare you for the actual climb of Mount Kilimanjaro.
You've got to keep your balance, take one step at a time. It ain't a joke, it's not easy.
It definitely ain't easy, look at that. These porters are something else.
Oh, the porters, they're phenomenal people. I mean, you know, I look back and reflect on the whole shit. I take me out of them.
These people were fantastic. Their work ethic is so strong. When we woke up in the morning, they would cook us breakfast. We would eat our breakfast in the cook tent. When we was finished and we got our gear on, they needed to kind of pack everything away, take all the tents down, the cook tent down, their own tent they stayed in. Everything was packaged into bags, which they carried on their head, on their backs, and they would need to get ahead of us. Okay, so they would overtake us en route, only to set up the camp ready for when we arrived later on that day. Hard job.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So
It's our guide. That's Steve, he's been forever helpful. This is grueling stuff that we're doing, and they made it look easy. But it wasn't. You know, it's difficult no matter who you are.
Wakushi, wanavyokola mandete, choga, choga, wanaruka bila bosi, choga, wanaruka bila bosi, ukiwaona wanainama, wanainuka, wanaona haya, ukiwaona wanainama, wanainuka, wanaona haya.
Yeah, so the summit is over there. When you see the glaciers up there, just starting here, Bereaved Camp, 4,600 meters, to go into the Uhuru Peak, 5,895.
So still another 1,000 metres. We supported one another as we went through. You know, there was certain times maybe Mark needed a bit of strength and he needed to lean on us. I know there was definitely times I needed to lean on people during summit night. That's Kilimanjaro behind me. We've just scaled Barranca Wall, which is the hard bit, which is scaling the side of the mountain. As you can see, we're above the clouds there. Somewhere in there you can see, like, where is it? That mountain sticking out of the clouds. So we're up high. So going up on summit night, it is pitch black, it is dark, it was a very rocky terrain. All I could see ahead of me is like a trail of lights where there was other groups kind of ahead of us. It was like they were snaking up the mountain itself. So it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going on about 1 hour's sleep, that's it, if I'm lucky. And we're on our way to the summit. If all goes well, should be there early morning. Probably see the sunrise somewhere along the way. Let's just hope all got the minerals and we can take some pictures at the top for you. Okay, I need to concentrate. And it just like seemed never ending, it was ongoing and ongoing. During that process, say about maybe 2-3 hours into summit night, and that's when Mark started getting weary. You could see he was delirious. You could see his feet giving way.
And I was literally like sleepwalking with my eyes shut, just following the person in front of me.
He was becoming very slow and lumbered on his feet, leaning on his poles, trying to get that support.
My God, he just turned around and said, Papa, you don't have to kill yourself, you know. You're doing really well, but you don't have to push yourself. And I turned around, looked at him and I said, because in my thinking, I didn't want to get beaten. In my thinking, I said, no, we'll go a bit more, see how it goes.
I just remember getting to a point where I thought, that's it, I'm done, I can't go any further. I've come to my point, I've reached my summit, that's it, that's enough for me.
All I know is that inside of me, I felt very deflated because I couldn't go on. I just felt so exhausted. I think, you know, the best decision I made was to call it a day and come back in one piece.
I leant against a rock on my poles and I said to him, I'm going back down, I've had enough, one of you needs to come with me, I'm walking down. I've done it. And in my mind, I'm thinking back to the UK, back to my family, back to everyone that's donated, sponsored us, etc. I'm thinking, I've done enough. I've raised enough. Everyone will be all right with this, what I've done. It'll be good. I'm not quitting. I've done enough. And in that moment, Mel turned around to me and she said, it needs to be you at the top that buries your son's ashes. And it got me. It says, you know, there's something that hit my heart.
I was getting tired and exhausted and weary, and Mel was there. In the end, you know, she was like a beacon of hope for Terry. Do you know what I mean? Because she made it to the summit.
We previously made a pact before that when we went, if I couldn't make it, someone would take the ashes and do the honours. It was Mel that said that, and it kind of shifted my mindset a little bit. And then one of the guides there, his attempt at changing my mindset was, he said, you're a strong man, Terry, pull your socks up. And he kind of turned and he pointed, and I looked away from the mountain outward, and you could see the sun rising over the horizon, and you could see the curvature of the earth, the sun rising up, And for me, it was just my connection with the universe, with a higher power greater than myself. It was the universe's way of saying, I've got you, you're safe, it'll be all right. I reached a point called Stellar Point, and that was the hardest slog of summit night, reaching that point there. And as we kind of just come over the top of that ridge there, myself and Mel broke down, embraced each other, and really felt the emotion and the enormity of what we'd just done. However, from that point we had another hour to the summit, so it was heads back down, into the wind, into the cold, and we struggled on. We made it to the summit, and we got to that statue, placard, you know, you have reached the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. And we're standing there and getting our photos done, holding my little flag that I've got with me, my charity flags, etc. And it was at that moment, Mel, she turned around and said, "Oh, do remember that today you're celebrating your 10th year in recovery." I turned 10 years clean when I reached the summit of Kilimanjaro. When she said that, there was a wave of emotion that hit me. I shed a few tears. It just registered what I had done in the short space of a decade being in recovery, coming from someone that was homeless, that used to eat out bins, that had to get someone to inject me in the neck every day because I had no veins left, you know, to standing on top of Mount Kilimanjaro celebrating 10 years clean and free. You know, I'm standing there reflecting on my life, you know, and everything that I've achieved. I'm raising my beautiful daughter Sophia. I'm now married in recovery to someone that I met when I first got clean. You know, I've educated myself and I finally got a full-time job. I'm employed. I'm now a lecturer of forensic science at the University of the West of England. So, you know, I'm there teaching students about forensic science. So I've gone from creating crime scenes to teaching students how to process them in the space of 10 years.
Hakuna matata, 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 hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana, wageni wakaribishwa Kilimanjaro, hakuna matata.
Good move, Jimmy, I like that.
Brilliant, well done.